Hello, welcome back to What Drives You. This is David. Today we're going to be talking about the new software update 2021.4.6 we got on the Model Y. So let's check it out, see what we've got on this update. Alright, so here's the update 2021.4.6, and we've got minor fixes, miscellaneous improvements, nothing big in this release. So still have all of the stuff obviously from the previous release. I will say that we did get it seems some updates to the Autopilot. Had better time going through some intersections. I will try to go for a drive here and see if we notice anything else. But I definitely want to check out one day soon the ability to go through an intersection that was particularly difficult in the past. So here we are. This is 2021.4.6. We just got 2021.4.3, and we took that on a previous road trip. So I didn't notice anything big with that update. So again, just minor fixes, I guess. But it will be interesting to see how it's progressing on the Autopilot, and as well, really hoping that we get that beta soon, or they do at least start rolling it out on wider release to more people, that FSD beta. But for now, we just got what we have. So let's go for a drive and see if we notice anything about this drive on Autopilot, and see if anything is fixed for that. Also, if you know of any updates, please let me know in the comments below. If you noticed anything, I'll check it out and see if I can comment on that as well. You will notice, actually, I got an item right now. This came up in a few posts recently. I have dashcam USB drive is getting full. So that is actually something that is coming up there, and you can launch the viewer to fix this. So I mentioned this to someone recently, and noted that getting a large card is definitely helpful. That way you can actually control how much video you have on there. You can save a lot and just remove it every so often. I think this card, I think it was a 64 gig card, and so it actually fills up every couple weeks or so, maybe a month. I don't ever delete anything that shows up on the Sentry mode, so I could just go in here every so often and just delete a bunch of them, because honestly, I don't, unless something happens to my car, I don't actually care too much about the Sentry mode events. Now, if something happens on the road, I'll sometimes take a dash cam and save that for later, but other than that, Sentry mode, as long as I come back to the car and everything looks fine, I don't worry about that. So you do have to go in here every so often and delete the videos. So you can just go into any one of them, delete footage, and then that frees up space. So simple enough to just go through a few that you don't need, delete them, and then you've got some more space. Let's see, we deleted, what's that one? Yeah, that's at rest area, so there we go. Just delete a few of these. There we go. So this air is still up on there. Dashcam USB is getting full, but I would imagine it's probably going to go away pretty soon now that I deleted a few of those. But if not, again, I can just go in there and delete a few more, because I've got plenty that I don't need. So definitely something to keep in mind. If you do get this message, you can just delete some of those off of the drive. And now that they have the viewer right here in the car, that makes it so much easier to take care of that, versus before you'd have to take it out of the car and actually put it in your computer and then delete it from there. So definitely great that they added that feature to have the viewer right there in the car, and you can maintain the files right there on the car screen. Alright, so let's see how it does here. Any fixes to Autopilot? See how it stops at the stop sign. That was a nice smooth stop. This next stop sign up here is the one that it usually has a problem with. Didn't like that person in the road there. That was interesting. She was definitely not in the way. Alright, so right up here, this stop sign, often it will stop abruptly and too short. Maybe not a great test of it since there was that vehicle there, but it did a pretty good job considering that truck actually kind of cut us off there. So far, nothing unusual, but it does seem to be a little bit smoother actually at the stops. You know, I've seen with some updates it's gotten worse, and some updates it's gotten better as far as stopping with a nice smooth stop at the stop signs. So that is definitely something that they're always tweaking a little bit here and there as far as how it stops and starts at those lights and stop signs. So definitely something I keep an eye on as I'm using it every day, but definitely has been very consistent about correctly stopping at stop signs and everything for a long time. Now this one right here, this is actually, it's a pretty good stop there. It could inch forward a little bit more, would have been nice, so I could see a little bit more around that corner, but overall it was fine. Still restricted to 5 over with auto steer on there. Does really well at stopping at the lights, and I will say that through this intersection I've had a few instances where it actually failed to use the lead car. So right here you can see that this car in front of us is a darker shade of gray there. That means it is the lead car, and so when this light turns green, the line should turn green because we have a lead car that is going to go through that intersection and basically prove to the car that it is safe to go through the intersection, in addition to the fact that it will see the green light. But recently I have seen a problem with it at this intersection. I guess maybe because it's going over a hill or something. I'm not sure. But sometimes it won't actually use that lead car and go through the intersection. Let's see what it does here in this update 2021.4.6. Alright, so at least in this instance it did perfect. It used that lead car even though we're going over the hill, and so overall that's good. I mean, everything seems to be a little bit smoother and a little bit more confident, especially through the intersections. Like I said, I noticed through an intersection that it did seem to do a better job. Going through that intersection is a tricky one where there's actually a railroad crossing in the intersection and it curves, so it definitely was a tricky one, but it was able to go through it, and I think that was the first time I'd ever seen it actually successfully go through that intersection without giving me the red take over hands and all that. So overall I think there's been some nice minor updates here in 2021.4.6. Again, I don't think it's anything too major. It is actually listed as minor fixes, so obviously it's nothing major, but it overall does seem to be a little slight improvements here and there. Again, we just don't have that big rewrite for the full self-driving, and I really hope that we can get that soon to see how that does on a wider scale. But for now, just the small improvements to the everyday use. I get a lot of use out of Autopilot. In fact, I use it, I would say, for a good 75% of my driving, and that's including all of the side streets. So I do a lot of the side streets, and I use Autopilot very often on the side streets. So it is a very useful feature even for the side streets, even though at this point it's not as big a deal for the side streets because I don't have that FSD beta. But once we do, I will be able to use Autopilot probably 98% of the time. And like the only time I won't be able to use it is in parking lots. Alright, so that was it. That was a quick video there on the new software update 2021.4.6. Hopefully we'll have some more interesting updates coming out soon, and I do also have some more videos coming up talking about the white interior seats and whether you should get white or black interior seats. Based on my experiences with Tesla, we have a Tesla that is 2 years old almost, and it has white interior, so that's definitely a question that comes up a lot for people that have not been in a Tesla before. They say, wow, those white seats, do you really want to have those white seats, and with kids no less? And yes, we do have kids, and we do eat in the car, especially a lot these days through the pandemic. And I will say that at least for now, I do very much like the white seats, so spoiler alert on that. But I will talk about some advantages and disadvantages of that, as well as we do have another video coming up about road trip items, so some great stuff to keep in mind for when you're going on a road trip to take with you in the car. And I do have a road trip video as well to provide to you, give you little stats on a recent road trip we took. It was a little bit different this time because we did take the dog, so car was super loaded down, and it was cold. It was when we got back, it was 25 degrees, so it did have an impact on the range and efficiency, of course, but I'll go over that whole road trip and everything and tell you how that went. So definitely, if you like this video, please make sure you hit that thumbs up, and as always, subscribe so that you can see more content like those videos I just talked about. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.